Webinar series has been organized for the people who want to apply for DSM's training program. In this webinar, we will give you a glimpse of how it is to train with DSM. I'm extremely delighted to introduce this wonderful panel that we have today of DSM's academic team and students from the current batch. We have Jihan Manekshaw, who is the co-founder, director, and head of the Drama School Mumbai. The school was established with a vision to forge a new generation of theatre makers, actor, creator, entrepreneurs who are professionally trained to perform and create a high quality, high standard work. We have Iravati Karnik, who is a writer, playwright, screenwriter, and also the academic head of the school. We have Amba Suhasini Katochala, who is an actor and theatre director. She is the co-founder of the company called Guild of the Goat Theatre Company, and she's also the faculty of she's also at the faculty at Drama School Mumbai since past few years. And then we have the students from current batch, Parul and Arjun. They are here to share their experience with the program. Thank you so much for joining this webinar, and especially Amba, you are joining this from US early in the morning. So yeah. So before starting, I would like to tell all the participants to stay on mute during the webinar. In last 20 minutes, I'll open the room for question answer, and then you can unmute and ask your questions directly to the panel. And you can also write your questions in the chat box. So yeah, let's begin. So since its inception, Drama School has been bringing the best practices and best of the theatre practitioners of the industry. With the new batches coming in, the school has always worked on its pedagogy. There have been new additions every year to meet the demand of the time, like Eklavya, the online learning platform for acting and theatre, unrehearsed futures, online workshops, masterclasses. So, Jihan, I would like to ask this question, since you are the head of the school and you have been closely involved in each step school has been taking. Can you tell us more about the school's approach to theater and acting training, and what are the key essential aspects for a performer and theater makers training that DSM has always included in its curriculum? Jehan, you are on mute.
Thanks for that question. Great. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. It would be lovely to see your faces. So if any of you feel like staying on your video so I can see कि मैं किससे बात कर रहा हूँ, then I feel a little bit more connected. So Savleen, Mayank, Shreya, Chelsea, Hrithikesh, do feel free to put your mics on. Jemima, Ayushi, hi Divya. So yeah, hi Mayank. Good. So happy to see you guys. Hi Himalaya. Cool. Okay. Just like it's Divya. Divya. Okay. Great. Divya, I got a ball in my hand. Can you see it?
Yes, there it is.
There you go. Where are you?
I'm in Indore.
Yeah. So I just passed a ball from Mumbai to Indore, guys. That's the power of imagination. You can keep that ball from me and just keep it as a souvenir. Yeah.
All right. It's beautiful.
Thanks. Awesome. Okay, so answer Prabhuti's question. We founded the parent company that first created the Drama School Mumbai was a company called Theatre Professionals that was founded in 2008. And it came about because there were a whole bunch of us theatre practitioners who just felt like हमारा sector ही professional नहीं चल रहा है. You know, everything was a little bit hit and miss. It was a little bit of a cottage industry. There wasn't a standard of practice that was strong and had a rigor, had a focus. There were very few places for formal training. I had got my degrees from the UK and the US, जहाँ पे पूरा industry है theatre का. And so I started in 2008 saying that, look, let's just try and see how can we get the people who have knowledge, who have practice, who have training, who have craft, this idea, and this is a very important idea, who have craft. Okay, it's not कि सिर्फ talent लगता है. Talent से आपको 3-4 चीज कर सकता है बराबर, as Ira said in another conversation I had with her. But if you want to be a perpetual career practitioner, You need craft training. You need to have a set of tools जिसके पास आप बार बार जा सकते हो to improve, to do new things, to do other projects, so that your creativity grows with time. Your creativity grows project after project, year after year. So it's not just the first 3 projects or first 5 projects जहाँ पे शायद आप सिर्फ अपना internal talent से चला सकते हो, but आप जिंदगी भर कुछ नए कर सकते हो because you have training, fundamental foundational training, right? And this was missing, so we just started by creating this these acting workshops that bought anybody who had formal training to give people who are doing theater in Mumbai an opportunity to train with them, to say जो आप organically कर रहे हैं, जो आपने बस ऐसे ही सीखा है, how can you do this, how can we understand कि हम लोग instinctively क्या कर रहे हैं, उसको मतलब craft के हिसाब से कैसा देखें, how can I take apart my kalakari, my artistry, and then put it back together. And this is how it started, and it started with a very simple, small idea that we want rigor, we want practice, abhyas, riyaz, application, and we want to just keep exercising these things. Not कि only because एक production आने वाला है तो चलो वो production के लिए काम करो, just for the sake of the training itself. And it was that sort of then became an idea that gave us more confidence, and then we created a drama school. But when we created a drama school in 2013, the question was, what do you want the drama school to output? I'm sorry, what do you want the drama school to output? And the truth of that matter was, so I'm just putting my phone off, is that India, we didn't have an industry per se for theater, right? And so what would happen is that you would, like, it's not good enough to just, like, you're not like an IIM that you're going off ki chalo मैंने पूरा management training किया है और अभी placement organization आएगा और मुझे hire करेंगे and मुझे salary देंगे and I have a job. You're going into a freelance industry. It's creative freelancers. So I looked at what was working in India. We all looked at what was working in India, and we saw that there were a lot of theater people who knew how to act, but also, you know, at their core, but they also knew how to direct plays, and they also knew how to produce work. And so this idea that Prabhuti spoke about, which is the actor, creator, entrepreneur, became very important to us, because the whole point of it was कि पहले चलो, even if acting is your passion, maybe you'll go out and get work with another director, or maybe you won't. If you don't, you should still be creative and make work, because if you make the work, then you'll get noticed. If you just sit there and talk about your work, you won't get noticed. Not only that, but if you're working with another director and you know how directors think, because we've taught you something about creation, then you can also be more meaningful to that director. You can have much more interesting conversations with them about, chalo, abhi main kaisa karu. You can show them more options in the rehearsal room, right? And then the third bit was, ki chalo, okay, I know how to act. Okay, I know how to create. But how do I go out and make sure that the work gets produced? How do I make sure that my work gets seen? Just say that, for example, Shweta becomes a theater professional and a theater practitioner. She has to think about her freelance career as her company, Shweta Gopalakrishnan Shweta Gopalakrishnan Creative Private Enterprises. So what is her creative roadmap for the next 5 years? What is her strategic roadmap for the next 5 years? How is she going to be an initiator, an entrepreneur about her own career, right? So this actor, creator, entrepreneur thing will help anybody as an individual, but also will help you in case you want to form a theater group or a theater company. Now, this was the development at 2013 when we first started the course. And as Prabhuti was saying, we have adapted with the changing times. What we realized also, itna tak samajh mein aaya, guys?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Then what we realized with the changing times was a lot of people were going off into film, into television. Thank God for the OTT streams, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे और मौका मिल रहे हैं लोगों को काम करने के लिए, right? And they wanted to learn to work in these streams, be it a content creator on social media, be it a web series creator, be it a YouTube creator, be it working on OTT concepts, films, etc., into advertising, into other things. And we realized that for us, theater is a great training medium. It is that original root performance and storytelling medium in which you pick up and you build all of those skills that you can then apply in multiple fields. So you can apply it in film, you can apply it in social media, you can apply it in OTT, you can apply it in new media, you can apply it as a facilitator. You start to teach children, you start to go and become a drama teacher at schools, you decide to be a community worker, you can still bring theater skills into helping the community. You start to, in multiple applications, theater is not just the craft जो हम लोग रंगमंच पे करते हैं या कैमरा के सामने करते हैं. Theater is also a knowledge system that changes you as an individual to be a bigger a community builder and an educator. Anybody who does theater automatically can do something in the field of like helping somebody else learn something. And so you have these multifaceted skill sets. And for us, that's really important to anyone graduating the drama school Mumbai, because तुरंत जाके बाहर जाके आप celebrity hero नहीं बनता है कि film का, right? So you find other things, and in that journey, maybe you decide you don't want to become the next Shah Rukh Khan or the next, I don't know, Rajnikant or whatever, right? You want to become, you realize in your journey that you are like a Swiss Army knife, or you have a multiple potentials. You can do different things that interest you. And that's what I've seen from all of the different alumni stories we have. And for me, and one of the reasons, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, is that we are teaching you to perform, we are teaching you to create, we are teaching you to have a sense of entrepreneurial skill set so you can build your own career and your own life, or you can build an organization if you need to, like a theater group or a company or whatever initiative you want to build, right? But why are you doing it? And there's a lovely quote, okay? Art is not a mirror held up to reflect society. It is a hammer with which to shape it. And so for us, it's really important. It is really important that you understand what drives you as a person, what drives you as a creator. What is it about your relationship with society that you want to then turn into an expression? A creative expression, an expression of work, an expression of something you do, a project you create, a performance you make, right? You have to understand the role of yourself as an actor, creator, entrepreneur in society. So we have a large focus on also that. At the end of the day, will you be able to act? Yes. Will you be able to create? Yes. Will you have a roadmap of how you want to build your career? Yes. Okay. But do you know why you're doing that? That is as important. And that is the thing that is showing us what we can be. And if you ask me what drives me today, which is very different than what drove me in 2013 when I founded the drama school, which is very different from what drove me in 2008 when we started teaching acting workshops, is I think fundamentally theater makes better human beings. It makes you be the best version of yourself. And if I can get you through a course that gets you to be that person, or teaches you how to start the journey towards being that person in a holistic manner, as a social being with fellow theater makers, with fellow people around you, right? Then the Drama School Mumbai has served its purpose in society. They talk about the health of a society by how many doctors per 1,000 people, right? It's a statistic, it's a career graph statistic. Not a career graph, it's a social developmental statistic. ये समाज का बहुत हेल्थ इतना अच्छा है क्योंकि हर 1,000 लोग के लिए 11 डॉक्टर्स है, हर 10 किलोमीटर में इतने सारे अस्पताल है, right? I'm saying the social emotional health of a society is by how many artists per 1,000 people we have in society. Which is why we want to generate you guys, which is why we want to train you guys and put you out into the world. It's our way of making the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Jehan, for wonderfully explaining the importance of training and DSM's approach. So DSM has always been adapting to the changes, and during the pandemic, the school has started its first digital batch, which eventually became the blended learning program, the first and one of its kind of program. And I'm from the first batch of that program, and I never thought that theater could be learned online. and DSM made it possible. So, Jehan, can you tell us the whole idea behind teaching theater online and how it emerged, and how this program is actually teaching the essentials of what a theater course is supposed to teach?
Yeah, I can. I thought Ira and Amba speak on this as well, but I will start briefly and just see if there's something I want to share with you here. No, I don't have it here. Never mind. Okay. So basically, when the pandemic hit us right away in the beginning, we were worried कि ये तो हम we can only teach this in person, and we were deeply worried. And we had an initial, and we had lots of our alumni, lots of theater or faculty sitting at home in lockdown, in the first lockdown, जहाँ पे हम सब लोग थाली बजा रहे थे, वो वाला lockdown. And sorry, I had to throw that in there. No, okay, I will stop. Okay, but in that lockdown, what could we do? One is we had a responsibility to our existing batch that had their classes disrupted. So first we started just giving them theory lectures online to just keep them occupied, because it was really upsetting for everybody. But then very soon after that, I thought, okay, Zoom say I can get, I mean, Amba right now is sitting in America. She'll be back in India shortly. Don't worry. But she's here and she's joined us. And one of the first things we did was we said, let's get some of the best people we can find from across the world to come and teach our community here via Zoom. And we didn't know how we were going to do it. We didn't know कि इस mode में क्या क्या हो सकता है. And we created something called the Global Faculty Program, and some of the best faculty from across the world started to come and do short workshops. Amba was a witness in one of them, and she participated, and she assisted one of the faculty coming in, Vic Sivalingam, on a Shakespeare workshop. And we jointly, over the first 6 months of the pandemic, I think between like June to like October or December, we just ran these workshops a lot. And each time we ran these workshops, we discovered more things about कि यहाँ पे मुमकिन क्या है Zoom के माध्यम में, और मुमकिन क्या नहीं है. And जो individual learning है वो मुमकिन था. And so when we said, and we also had Prabhuti and others who had applied to DSM main course, waiting to get admission for the main course, wondering when the pandemic would end, ताकि they could come to Mumbai and train. And then we realized कि ये second wave चलने वाला है, third wave चलने वाला है, ये कहीं खत्म नहीं होने वाला है. So we said, now they're all waiting and they want to be here. What do we do? And so we said, fine, if we can take all the stuff that we used to teach and break it into what you can teach individuals in their own spaces at home first, and put that in front in the first semester digital. And then we know that theater has to be taught in an ensemble way. We have to teach in person. So we'll take them to a residential space जहाँ पे हम एक COVID bubble बनाएंगे और वो COVID bubble के अंदर उनको सिखाएंगे. And people like Prabhuti, and this is the best thing that theater is, and these guys are a crazy batch, Prabhuti's batch. They have risk. They're willing to take a chance. They're willing to take a measured risk. They said, chalo, DSM wale, they've been doing this for years. They're saying ye mumkin hai. They've shown us some things like this. We will take a chance on this. And we learned so much with that batch, and they taught us so much in teaching them. But in that, we found our way through this new blended format that is the current curriculum, which is 20 weeks or 18 weeks of digital training, and then another 15 weeks of in-person residential training in a COVID bubble. Yeah, in which they learn to act as individuals, they build their instrument, all of that. So we developed this over time, एक step के बाद एक step. We didn't have the guts to say immediately, hey, ये तो हमसे हो जाएगा. We had a moment at the beginning where we said कि इसको करना है कि नहीं? Should we just shut down for the next 3 years or not? And we then thought कि चलो, we'll try it. ठीक है? Abdul, sorry, voice नहीं आ रही मेरा. सुनाई दे रहे श्वेता? Parul, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah, all of us can hear, I guess.
Yeah, Abdul, just check your connection. Yeah. So that's the long, short answer to it.
Yeah. And
I just wanted to add something to what Jihan said. So even when we were first designing the blended course, even when we were designing training for the online space, it was all based on our experience in the physical space, right? So there was an attempt to recreate a lot of that and to fight against the limitations of the online space and all of it. And So our first tendency was also to notice the limitations of the online space. One was constantly thinking, how do you make sure that this experience compares to that one? So there was this constant kind of comparison to the physical space. And I mean, I think Amba is the better person to talk about what training in the online space actually felt like for her, because she did both. She teaches a unit in the blended in the digital unit, and then she goes into the physical space and teaches there as well. So that would be really interesting to hear. But one thing I want to say is, we were all watching work online, right? Some of the work was horrible, some of the work was amazing, all kinds of stuff was going on, all kinds of experiments were being done. And suddenly there was this whole new playground available to play with, to experiment with, where we didn't know the rules. And we tried to play by the rules of the physical space. And sometimes we found things and sometimes we didn't. But the biggest discovery, I think, was the fact that it's a whole other animal by itself. It has its own grammar, it has its own rules. You can't try to force one idea into this space. You can't. It needs its own thinking, it needs its own kind of rules. And I think all our so the reason I'm going on and on about this story is because when we had our second creative collaboration, where collaborative creation lab happen at the end of our digital unit, where the students perform their pieces, it was such a slap in the face. And I say this with so much pride, because we were all, all the faculty, all of us who designed stuff were still coming into this space from our experience in the physical space, right? We hadn't done enough work in the online space. But these students had been learning entirely digitally. And so they were thinking for that space. And the work they made was so amazing and so surprising and so full of discoveries. And it was such a, that's why I mean, like, that it was a slap in the face. It was such a wake up call for us. It was so reassuring for us to see that a lot of the decisions we had made had turned out to be right. Because if they trained in the digital space and made that, using the breaking down a whole lot of misconceptions about the limitations of that space and making work that worked in the digital space, then we were doing something right. And then of course they went into the residency. Of course they were, they worked as the ensemble, they worked in the physical space, they got all the advantages of working in the physical space. But before that, they had found something that no other batch had the opportunity to find in the digital space. So I wanted to bring that up. So over to you, Amba.
Thanks, Ira. There is I think, a Steinbeck quote that says, "A theater is the only institution that has been dying for the last 4,000 years and has never succumbed," right? And I think for me, that has been the hugest learning point during this pandemic, because it isn't that we were very concerned about ab hum kaise sikhayenge, what are we going to do with the training that we have promised. We were also, as theater makers and practitioners, thinking about hum kya karenge? How do we keep creating art and content and doing our job? And there is, like Ira said, it is a different animal. But the whole point is that it keeps being a different animal. It needs to keep shape shifting. And the point of training is to become moldable and adaptable enough that you can shape shift with it. How do you change yourself when the form changes itself? Right? How do we learn online? How do we create online? How do we teach online? And how do we keep doing this thing that we want to do? And you all probably know this, but with this medium, this genre, there is always, with any career that you choose, there's always a main kya karna chahti hu. What do I want to do? And then immediately is followed by, how will I do it? At DSM, through this blended program, through the online, through the residency, we answer the middle question. Why this? Why now? So that you don't start your avalanche and then you are tumbling down the hill and you keep tumbling and you can't stop and you keep going and you carry on for 10 years doing something without ever asking yourself, kyun? Because you cannot create art without the kyun. And the kyun is very difficult to ask yourself. You need other people to ask you the kyun. And as far as the difference between teaching digitally and teaching in person, yes, there is a difference. Yes, like Ira said, don't compare it. It is a different thing. Learn how to do it because the world has changed. And it isn't like after these 3 years, we'll all go back to normal. There is no going back. There is only a going forward. So yes, it'll feel different, guys. It'll feel different to how anything has felt before. But I suppose it's a question of faith, right? You have to take that leap of faith and say, nahi, mujhe ye karna hai. Main karna chahti hu. And know that you're in good and capable hands. And I suppose that's it. How do you feel, Prabhuti?
Yeah, I resonate with it. And Amba, you also mentioned that teaching and learning online, digitally, and in space is different. And you taught us in both the mediums. So, and you actually saw us changing and growing. So, how do you think that how challenging is it for students to navigate from one medium to the other medium? And how does the learning change when the medium also changes?
So I think I kind of touched upon that a little bit, but yeah, but I can go deeper into it. The thing is, it is an incredibly collective experience, but it is also an incredibly individual and unique experience. You are definitely on your own path in this course, but you are surrounded by everybody else also. And you're moving with them also. And it's for everyone to figure out. And there are some people, there are even some theater makers I know, really good theater makers, who just hate creating content online. They just hate it, right? It doesn't mean that they can afford to stop doing it. They cannot. They have to find a way around it if they want to keep doing this thing called theater, called art making. And that's the same with learning, right? It will make you uncomfortable. It will make you feel weird. You will be in boxes for 6 months and feel like you really know each other without ever having met each other. And then you'll meet each other and you'll all feel like giants in the room. And it will take a week of bumping into each other in very different ways until you can start making and building together. But when that click happens, it's it's magic. It really is magic.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Prabhuti?
Yes, I completely agree with that. And it for me also, like going from digital to in space was difficult. ऐसे हो रहा था कि अरे कहाँ आ गए, ये सब लोग थोड़े से डर लग रहा था कि अरे किसी से टकरा जाएंगे. And but slowly I was able to gel up with them and understand their bodies, their energies. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And Ira, I would like to ask this question to you. So, since you were involved in the process of designing this course, so how this blended learning program this year is different than how it was when it was designed for us and how it started. So, how it is different, and what the students can expect about their training in theater and what they will learn in digital semester and residency semester. So how the training will look like.
I'm sorry, how is this different from the course you did? How the
Yeah, yeah,
newer
yeah.
version?
Yeah, how,
Um,
I mean, evolution of this course since it's
right.
subscription.
Okay. So fundamentally, it isn't different. It's still the three strands that we focus on through the training are still the same. There's performance, there's creation, and there is dramaturgy. What is different slightly is, and that's actually the reason. I mean, incidentally, I was doing like this interview yesterday about becoming the academic head of DSM, and the journalist was asking me stuff about the institution, and I said that one of the most welcoming things and the most one of the reasons it was so tempting was because it's an institution that changes its mind. It's, you know, it's okay to change your mind here. It learns, it listens, it evolves. And I think that's how this course will be different from your course, which is that because yours was the first time we tried something like this, we really listened to what the students had to say about what that experience was like, what different faculty members had to say about what that experience was like, what according to them worked very well, what needed more focus. So we've taken all those learnings into account and tweaks have been made. So firstly, in terms of duration, this is different. It's a longer course, slightly longer course. So we have a 15-week uh, digital semester, your foundation semester, and then we have a 3-week, we have 1 week of the creative collaboration lab at the end of the second unit, and 2 weeks of another lab at the end of the fourth uh, week, or the fourth unit. Oh, sorry, fourth unit, not week, fourth unit. And then we have a residency, which is 12 plus 3. So we have a 15-week residency this time, where they're going to have another week in between, which is a scene study week, which your batch didn't have. So they're going to be working on improvisation, devising ensemble games, building the ensemble, all of that for the first 3 weeks. Then they have 4 weeks of very concentrated work on character, on scene work, on scene building, and all of that. Then they have a week-long process of just working on their scenes with no lectures, nothing. There will be a couple of dramaturgy lectures, but otherwise the whole day is dedicated to just working on their scenes, just working on performance. And then they have the rest of the uh, residency. So in that sense, there are tweaks and learnings that we've adapted into making it a more concentrated course. Secondly, what we've done is we've also created more space in the residency, because that was one of the feedback we got, where, you know, there's more space for the students to absorb what is being taught. There's more downtime for them to think about what is being taught, for them to, for it to percolate, for them to get a chance to apply it. There's space. And this is not a pedagogical thing, but it's a beautiful venue. So I mean, I'm really envious of whoever gets to go there and learn. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ira. Um, now, I have a question for Parul and Arjun, since they are from this batch. So I want to ask them that how their experience has been with this 3 months of this batch. I mean, three months of this course, and how are they? What is their learning, and so what is their discovery? Are they feeling something? Are they finding something in their bodies as a performer, as an individual?
Carol, you go first.
Okay, so we have completed our first 2 units of the online medium. Initially, even I was apprehensive about, how is this going to work out, because it's going to be online. Will I get to learn? But I have realized that whatever that we are being taught online, whatever subjects have been merged together, it has been done in a way to suit the online medium. So whatever that we are doing through the online medium is very well suited to it, very well devised for this thing. So the learning process has not been hindered because of the medium. In my experience, I've also realized that each one of us in the batch, we all come from different backgrounds. So I now kind of feel that this was important to kind of build a, a foundation for all of us to come to one level together. And then I see myself going into the residency and, being together in a physical space and in person and working together. In terms of progress, there are certain things that we do in DSM, for example, reflections, faculty feedback, one-on-one sessions, which I feel like even if you do a 1 month workshop or a week workshop, there's going to be a difference. There are experiences, you've learned something, but with these things in place, you can see your progress. You see what has worked for you, what has not worked for you. And with the help of the feedback and one-on-one session, you sort of know that, in the upcoming units, what are the things that you can work on and improve. So that's a way, that you have learned something, and then you're also able to articulate it, which is something that has sort of worked for me personally, kind of knowing what has worked, not work, and what you can work upon. So that's another thing. And Arjun, do you want to add on to?
Yeah, because there's nothing, no pressure in the online. We were warned about Zoom fatigue and all. There's no Zoom fatigue, and we love what we do. That's why we are here, right? So why Zoom fatigue? So I to get bummed out of end of the day. I was like, that's it. We should do more. But there are assignments with that Amba gives, and Anshuman, our teacher of aesthetic, she gives, and it is very nice. It's fulfilling. And there is, like, when I joined, it's in the November, and it's been 3 months right now. So I went through a scanner, and I didn't know this. It's been complete scan, and the eyes are the faculty members. And yeah, earlier I used to walk with a hunchback. Also, my shoulders got tight, and I have a problem of rushing. I rush a lot. I get too much energy. So Amba is like a cool down. And I just want to share something. It will help everyone. What Amba said in our last hour classes. She teaches us script analysis, and she said that be precise. You are an actor. You can't go haywire. You have to mean what you say, and just follow. Be precise and to be point. So it's great. I'm just enjoying and looking forward for the rest of the year.
Okay. Thank you, Arjun. Thank you, Parul. Um, I'm feeling nostalgic listening to them actually. And when I'm thinking about my experience of training, I felt to me it was not easy because you are exposed to new information every day. You are working on your mind and body. You are questioned and challenged about your notions intellectually. And some days was just exhausting where I didn't want to move or I felt like, okay, I don't want to show up today. So, but there are few systems that are in place in DSM. Ira, I would like to ask this to you. How does DSM take care of each individual, their health, their safe space?
Okay, so we have several things in place now. There's, of course, each student is, so it happens at various layers, right? At the students themselves are writing very regular reflection journals, which help us keep track of how they see their own growth, whether they're okay, whether they need mental health support, whether they need academic support, what's happening with them. It's their kind of way of keeping track of setting goals for themselves and looking at whether they're able to achieve them and what they may need in order to achieve them. One step outside, there is the student mentor who meets with them in a group as well as individually at regular intervals and talks to them about how they're doing, whether they have difficulty with a particular faculty, whether they're having difficulty with a particular unit, what they're enjoying, what their learnings are, what their struggles are. So there's that. There are also one-on-ones with faculty members where you can talk to individual faculty members on your own about how well you're doing, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, what you might be struggling with, what you might need extra help with, all of that. So that's all on the academic front. In terms of your emotional and mental health, there is a there's a therapist, there's a therapist provided by the school that you can consult in case you need help. So there is a process put in place where you can approach the school and ask for mental health support, which will be provided to you. There is also somebody who is there's a physio. So even in terms of whether there is, how your body is responding to all the training that's happening, if there is an injury, if there is, so all of that kind of physical support. For that there is also a physio. Then there is of course a posh committee for any kind of issues that may arise regarding sexual harassment. We have very strict rules in place about sexual harassment. We have stuff in place to avoid any of that. So, and there's a committee in place to take that up in case there is any kind of conflict. We also now have somebody who is an intimacy director who comes in and talks about safe spaces, brave spaces. So we have various levels of pastoral care that have been put in to support the students through the entire course. So the focus is not only on academics and skills training, it is also there in terms of how you're doing as a person. To like, you will feel also like, even our meetings, even the review meetings that happen among faculty members, you'll be surprised at how much detail each faculty member goes into in terms of observing each student. How well somebody is doing, what they may be struggling with, how do we support them better, what can we do for them differently, so there is, every individual is looked out for. That much I can assure you.
Yes. And even I feel that we can make connections with faculties as well during the course. So even if you want some help, then you can definitely go and approach them and they will be ready to help. And even we had the system of check-ins, regular check-ins. So even during the residency, and we have actually kept that system still going on after DSM, and we are doing it monthly. So yeah, that is something that
also it's a lifelong relationship,
yeah.
right? Like, it's a, you connect with some faculty members, you go out of the school, you make work, you want feedback, everybody is available to you, as per their time, obviously. But I mean, I'm right now helping a boy who passed out of the DSM some 3 years ago, Lakshay. I'm helping him with his script. I know there are 2 or 3 people who are looking into a performance that Prabhuti's batch made during their stay at the residency, giving them feedback. So it's a community that you build for life. Ayushi's asked a question: what books, movies, web series, performances of other artists are recommended to watch, read? Yes, Ayushi, they are. Every faculty member that is teaching you, there will be whatever references come up in class, you will be given, as much as possible, you will be given sources where you can find those references, and you can read stuff, and you can watch stuff, and you can learn stuff. But take it one step at a time. As each subject comes into your life, all of these resources will as well.
Last year we created a ritual in which at the end of so in the morning, when everyone gets together, there's a small ritual, a small abhyas, to just have everyone ready to work together as a group. And in that, we've asked every day one student has to pick a small 1-minute reading. So after the 10 minutes of breathing and voice and like just settling and getting ready for the day, one of the students, it rotates around the whole batch, one of the students has to share a 1-minute reading from something that they have read that they find interesting, and they share it in the group. And we also create a Google Drive thing where the bibliography is there कि इस महीना में ये 30 दिन पे कितने क्या share किया था और उसका source material किधर है. So it's not even just what the faculty gives you. Every day you have something new that is another route for you to be there. I just wanted to say something on the pastoral care and all on the support systems. The school is designed to create a safe space and a brave space where you can focus on the work, on working together, on growing together, on developing. But it's not there to be there so that you have suddenly these crutches that you can't live without. The whole objective is, by the end of the course, you have learned to stand on your own 2 feet. You understand yourself better. You know what help you need. You know how to sort your own problems out. Because we learn in a culture and a tradition जहाँ पे हर एक चीज परमिशन का सवाल होता है. कोई हमको परमिशन देना पड़ता है सीखने के लिए, कोई हमें परमिशन देना है कि हम ऐसा कर सकते हैं कि वैसा कर सकता है. And we want to break that in you. We want you to learn कि you have to take ultimate responsibility for your own learning, for your own self. You have to be the lifelong learner. and you can't blame your problems on anybody else or anyone else. You have to figure out how you fine problems hai life mein, दुनिया हमको ये दे रहे हैं, अंदर का भी ये problems है. What are you going to do about it? Because you're the only person who can do anything about it. And we try and teach you that resilience and that kind of अपने पाँव पे खड़े होना and how to be a lifelong learner as part of this. So all this stuff is there to hold you, but by the end of it, you should not need to be held. You should be able to go on your own, go on with your community.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Jehan. And as you mentioned, you have to take care of yourself in the end. So, since Parul and Arjuna are here, any of you can go ahead with this, that how you are taking care of yourself, your mental health, your physical health during this training.
Okay. Arjun, you want to take
Add one more question to that, Prabhuti, is how are you guys taking care of your own responsibility for your learning for yourself?
Yeah, so for the physical thing, there are a lot of yoga and also the movements and also the performance classes. They are filled with all the physical thing that you need to do in a day. So no extra physical work. I used to go to some physical work, some playing, but now I have stopped because it doesn't require anything. After that, you need to drink water a lot, which I drink a lot. After that, also the diet, you have to maintain a good diet, avoid junks, and sleep well, because they will just call you in the 6 a.m. and just get up. Your time is for reading. You have to read now, and you can't miss that. So, and for the mental health, I guess between the breaks, do what you want to do. Do you what you like? Maybe someone can play games, someone can listen to songs. I listen song between the classes. There's a lot of breaks in between, so you get a lot of time to just chill down. And also there in the night, you can do what you want. You can roam around, you can play. So there are times, so you can chill around. There's no pressure from my side. Parul will like to tell something. Parul?
I'll just add a little to this, that there are enough breaks. The routine is designed in that way, so you will have enough time to like have a proper meal and take a power nap if you wish to. And also then there's a whole support system. There are people who have been designated. They have their roles and responsibility. You can approach them if you have any issue related to physical health or mental health. And now that we have completed unit 2, I feel like I'm quite comfortable with my batchmates also. It's if it's a existential crisis, I just speak to them. Is it like, okay, we will be able to do something? So with time you get comfortable with your batchmates also, so you can speak to them as well. And other than that, you have enough breaks. Even if you're not feeling well physically or mentally, you can tell your faculty that today I'm not feeling well. So there's this thing that they can ask you to. You can take a class off, or you can just observe, keep your camera off. So there's no rush or pressure as such to be there on the screen all the time.
One thing to add कि extra कुछ नहीं करना है. You have to just surrender. And वो कुछ नहीं है कि कैसे maintain करे, कैसे classes का सब maintain करे, what extra we need to do. जो भी बोला जा रहा है classes में teachers के द्वारा, बस उतना ही follow करना है. And that will help. That is enough. Because there is lots to do. बहुत काम रहता है हम लोग के पास. हम लोग जितना भी अभी मजाक कर रहे हो, हम लोग के पास काम रहता है, हम लोग करते हैं और हम लोग उसको बस follow करते हैं. So extra कुछ नहीं, बस follow the teacher, then surrender yourself.
Yes, thank you guys. So now we'll open the room for question and answer. There is one question in the chat by Vardhan, like he's asking about the opportunities after doing this course. How to decide what to do after this course, or who will tell them? That's his question.
Hello, Prabhuti. This is Rahul. I'm sorry I'm interrupting. I just have a special request. I am really late to the party. And I just wanted a special request if I could get the recording of the video, because I would also like to know so many questions people might have asked, and I could also, get much more help from them. And I had the same question, if I could ask that, what are the opportunities do we have after, completing the course in any aspect whatsoever? Thank you.
So let me do very briefly so we can go through other questions as well. This is not the IIM. This is not IIT. There will be no placement agency coming in and giving you jobs at the end, even though casting directors come and see some of the final performances, etc., to see kaun naya talent aa raha hai. but it's not like even that they can give you like some lifetime employment contract, right? Career ke liye. You're entering a creative field as a creative freelancer. That is the state of the industry. And you will have to learn to hustle and go from job to job, project to project. And it takes anywhere between 2 to 3 to 5 years to really launch solidly. Even though you can start getting work and opportunities in the first year, those are more for your learning and for your building your network and building your foundations in the professional industry. And the second, third, fourth year onwards, it becomes rosy roti, and you find your space and your niche, and you find your own identity in terms of your work and getting jobs and getting projects, be it on auditions, be it etc. Now the thing is, you are joining an alumni community of now 130 plus alumni who are all talking to each other, who are all listening, who have all found out about all the opportunities and keeps cross sharing and cross posting just in case anybody wants to know ki ho kya rahe hai. Okay, so that's one side of it. The second side of it is you're joining a faculty community also. For 1 year you are our students, from next year you are our colleagues and our collaborators. Luckily the faculty are slightly ahead on the journey that you are, so they are making projects. Sometimes they are creating their own work. Right now we have an alumni from the second year of the course who is constantly making work, creating work, and hiring DSM alumni to do the work, right? Similarly, you're joining this network. This network is constantly sharing information and knowledge. The rest is up to you in terms of your hustle, in terms of your proactiveness, in terms of how you are going to go about and show up for auditions, show up for projects, do things behind the scenes, do things in front of the scenes. um, Diversify how you use your, as I said earlier, we don't just teach you to be actor, creator, theater makers for performing in front of camera on stage. You're supposed to be able to use that skill set in other places. Maybe you become a workshop conductor. There's a student, an alumni who started a drama school of their own in Ahmedabad, even though it's part-time evenings right now. There's another one who started their own social media channel that is all about theater and is like doing all kinds of workshops on it for the general public, and he's figured out some financial model for it. So it's all about hustle. And what we try and teach you is how do you take responsibility for your own hustle in a productive way. So that's how you will get your jobs and opportunities. What I would like to say that's interesting as a statistic is out of the 130 alumni, I think only like 10 have like completely dropped out of this field completely. The rest of them are working, doing, being, and it is a solid community of people that tells me that it is working. That tells me that more than anything, we've taught you a work ethic at the school, you know, and that's what you need the most: a work ethic, a solid work ethic. So there are opportunities, you get them. It's just completely unconventional. But in the year that you work, you will find out how to do it. And also, I think Cherry and Gino can post the YouTube channel in which there are many past webinars that are recorded like this one, in which alumni have spoken about how they go about getting work. So if you go to that YouTube channel, you'll see a lot of these kind of webinars where we've invited 4 or 5 alumni. They have discussed, they've held a panel discussion about exactly all of this stuff. There you go. So just check out that playlist and start watching those to understand कि DSM के alumni क्या करते हैं, कैसे करते हैं. And there's also things about how to prepare for the audition there. There's also things about how to do financial aid there. So just check them all out. A lot of this information is there.
Also, there are different ways of making it, right? There's one kind of obvious first idea thing that everybody has, which is that some famous man will see, man or woman, whoever, will see me perform, and they will be like, oh man, what an amazing actor, and uthake, I will get this like blockbuster, and then I will be the next big thing, right? Let's like put that aside for a bit. If you look at the theater world, this is a theater training institute. Yes, of course, the actor training holds you in good stead no matter where you're going to go act, but it is a theater training institute. And I feel like if you look at other theater work that has happened over the last 50 years in the country, younger people who eventually you saw as, you know, successful and big, started small, started with friends, started with people who shared a vision. a bunch of people got together and thought, okay, what are the stories we want to tell? What is the work we want to make? What do we want to say using this medium? And then how do we say it best? And found people who were invested in the same vision and made work, and then that work made sense to people, and then made more work, and then that work made sense to people, and then over their journey, attracted more and more diverse people with them. They worked across groups, across languages, across time. And that's how a career was built, right? Nobody picked them up from anywhere and placed them in an already successful scenario. So the chances of that happening, nobody can ever guess those. Who knows how luck works? So we don't know. But the chances of the second thing happening are very high, because as Jehan was saying, you get this community. You have this community of so many alumni that have passed out so many years before you and have found some footing into the field, are making work. There are other directors and faculty members who are practitioners. That's one of the things that the DSM is really proud of, which is that most of our faculty members are practitioners. They're not just teachers. They're making work themselves. So they're going to be looking at how you work. They're constantly going to be in need of artists and actors and creators. And so there are a number of opportunities like that. If you're interested in making work, there are endless opportunities. Yeah. In terms of the shortcut, I can't promise anything. Sure, anything is possible.
Yeah. Thank you, Ira. Thank you, Jehan. There is one more question. Shreya is asking कि ऐसे कौन से थिएटर ग्रुप में काम कर सकते हैं? तो श्रेया, आप एक्सपीरियंस के लिए पूछ रहे हो या फिर डीएसएम ट्रेनिंग करने के बाद आप क्या कर सकते हो, ऐसा आप पूछ रहे हो?
मैम, ट्रेनिंग करने के बाद क्या कर सकते हैं, ऐसा पूछना।
अच्छा। Amba, can you answer this question?
Shreya, आप कहाँ पर हो? Where are you based?
I'm from Bangalore.
I'm afraid I'm not familiar. Jehan, Ira, maybe you want to take this over.
श्रेया, आपको एक तो आपने कहीं पे पूछा है कि without paying where can I work, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Group.
कोई भी ग्रुप आपको अगर पैसा मांगे, प्लीज उनके साथ काम मत करो.
Don't, yeah.
Or do not work for any group that asks you for money to work with them. Okay, that's
Okay,
first.
Unless they are saying that we are going to train you, then find out what is the training.
What
just
the training
coming
is,
here,
yes, of course. Then that's a
training
longer
from us.
conversation.
Over here, we are saying we will train you and you're getting a fees.
और आप
Okay,
कौन सी
ma'am.
लैंग्वेज में काम करना चाहते हो?
Hindi.
अच्छा, what is your mother tongue?
Telugu. Kannada. Tulu,
Kannada.
actually. I'm from Bangalore.
Okay, so in
Yes.
Bangalore, in fact, you will find work is being made in Tamil, it's being made in Kannada, it is made in English,
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
made in Hindi as well. So there's a lot
Yes,
of
ma'am.
theatre, in fact, happening in Bangalore.
Yes, I know.
So there are for example, we have Anshuman and Chanakya who teach at the DSM. Both of them are from Bangalore. Chanakya recently opened his play called
Okay.
June at the Rangashankara Festival. So you will meet a bunch of people that will come into the Diya, also works from Bangalore.
Okay.
So even among the faculty members, you will meet some practitioners who are from that city. But even if you
Okay.
don't, just like we were saying before, there will be other batchmates. There are alumni, several alumni who are from Bangalore and will continue to make work there after you pass out. So you can connect with them and figure this out together.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, Jihan, I have a question for you. So, from this year onward, DSM is planning to have 2 digital batches and 2 blended learning batches and 1 in-person batch. So, total 3 batches in a year. So, can you tell us more about it and why the blended learning program has been still planned to keep going on even if the in-person batch would start?
So I think that it's really important to understand a couple of things. One is what Amba said earlier during the seminar, which is that we are moving forward. We are not going back to any past normal. In this world now, we have the ability to teach in this format, and what are the benefits that this format offers. Even from pedagogy, it's different. The digital time in the Zoom boxes that you're here in right now, it's a different kind of training, but it's intimate, it's detailed, we can see everything. Arjun spoke about how there's like a scanner that happens, and there's that. And then the residential mode, जहाँ पे आप लोग मतलब 24 घंटा 15 हफ्ता के लिए 7 दिन you're with each other. It's a whole other level of intensity and a whole other type of training. So that's a good format for many people who can't, say, for example, come to Mumbai, who want to first do 6 months feeling safe from their own homes before they come into a residential space. Then they come into a residential space for an intensive boot camp training, but it's with their own people who they've known and they've got to know for 18 weeks. So that's whole one kind of journey. Ultimately, the training goals are the same between the two courses. The other kind of journey is for people who are saying, I want to come to Mumbai, I want to learn in person only. And it's their choice, but they have to think about things like paying rent, living in Mumbai, catching trains, doing the whole Mumbai circuit. The work itself is still 24 घंटा. I mean, सुबह 7 बजे you have to show up, शाम को 6 बजे, sometimes शाम को 10 बजे आप लोग निकलते हैं, and then you spend an hour and a half on the train going to your PG hostel, and then you have to eat, sleep, change, bathe, and come back at 6 in the morning. You don't have any time to do anything else, and that is the Mumbai experience for a year. But also, people say this is my preference. मुझे Zoom पे नहीं रहना है, and I'm willing to pay the fees and also the living expenses of Mumbai. So I feel like both courses are there. It creates options for people जिनको मतलब difficulty है आने के लिए वगैरह. It gives us more access and more reach. As I was saying just now in the chat window, I mean, who would imagine? We could not imagine before this course that now you can be trained by somebody from Delhi, somebody from Bangalore, sometimes somebody from London, somebody from Singapore. That's also happened. So we're very fortunate that you have access to knowledge and access to teachers from all over the country, if not the world. And that's been a great thing. And it's not just access ki chalo, as we said, no, for the first, chalo, sirf seekhne ke liye access nahi hai. By the time the course is done, you know these people and they know you, which means that Shreya, if she does this course, can then go in Bangalore and meet those people and say, chalo, can we do some work? Can I work for you, etc. So the network you build now is national, if not international also. Yeah. So just think about, these are the reasons. I mean, both courses have their pros, both courses have their benefits, both courses have their drawbacks. But in both courses, the Mumbai course, you'll only learn from Mumbai faculty, for example. Who knows? We don't know yet. We're still in the process of designing that course. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that you guys are all strong enough that at the end of the course, at the end of the 1 year, chahe blended ho, chahe in person ho, you can work together. You can make work together. So it doesn't matter if Prabhuti came from this batch and Falguni came from another batch, which was in person. They should be able to be in a room and work together, and that is our aim. And do good work together.
Yeah, thank you, Jehan. There is a question by Pavir. He's asking what to do while doing natural acting that it doesn't get boring.
I have to make my apologies and leave because I have to go for another board meeting. But I just wanted to say to all of you, it was lovely to share this story with you, and I hope we were clear. And nothing would please me more than to have an opportunity to see you in the drama school so that we can follow our goals of making you better human beings or helping you on your journey to being the best version of yourself. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you all, everybody. Thank you, Amba, Ira. Thank you, Arjun Parul, for coming in and doing this. And you guys be well and ask your questions and take care. And see you in auditions, yeah?
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jehan. Okay.
Praveen, that's a 1 year long answer. How your question says, I wanted to know while doing natural acting, what should we do? It shouldn't get boring. That's why the course is a year long. You train and you learn, and then it doesn't get boring.
Yeah. And there is one question by Rochan Mathur. He's asking, is it possible to do part-time work alongside DSM training?
I mean, officially, we we tried to make it compulsory that you only focus on the course because it is a full-time course. We do know that there were a couple of people in Prabhuti's batch, in fact, who were working and trying to do other things while they were doing the course, and they managed to do it, but they did suffer, right? Like, if Prabhuti, if you were to be honest and talk about it, they really struggled to keep up with the assignments and the work that was happening in the course because it's a demanding course, both physically and intellectually. And it will need time. It will need time on your part. So even if in terms of number of hours you're able to figure something out, I recommend that you don't do it and you focus on the course for the duration of the course because it'll get very taxing. You'll find it very hard to juggle. Prabhuti, what do you think?
Ira, there are also scholarships available now.
Yes, of course. So I don't know if they're asking because of financial reasons or because they have work that they can't drop out of to join the course.
So if I can just come in, I was actually asking because of like both financial reasons. Like it will be, I'm 26 now and I don't want to, exhaust all my father's savings on this training. And so if I could work alongside DSM, that was my question. And yes, I am getting some work. So I'm also a little hesitant that should I leave all my work and focus for 1 year for training.
Okay, so if it's a financial reason, then the DSM does offer a whole number of scholarships and fellowships that you can apply for. There's a process that you can go through. But every year we have students going for scholarships and fellowships. So it doesn't take care of your entire fees, but there's a substantial percentage that it will take care of. Yeah.
Yes, and I guess Parul and Arjun both can talk more about how to get scholarships because they have been uh, awarded the scholarship. So, Parul or Arjun, you want to go?
Okay, I can just talk about the process, like how I applied and what my experience was like for the merit-based scholarship. So one thing, while you're writing your application, you're also asked to write the statement of purpose and your work profile, like whatever the links of your work and whatever work it is that you want to share with the person who's going to be reading your application. So there, I would suggest that be honest, first of all. Talk about the things that genuinely matter to you. Why do you want to apply to this course? Why is it DSM that you are applying to? What are your goals? How do you think that doing this course are going to align with your goals? How is it going to help you achieve your goals? So these are the questions that might come up while you are interviewing for the scholarship as well. Throughout the process, Shruti and her team will be available to you for whatever questions that you have or any doubts, queries that you have related to it, and they will help you at each step. I would say that be honest, present your work, prioritize, like what is the first thing that you want to tell them. For example, I had different things. I had theater related work that I had done while I was graduating, and then I had also written articles for theater. So I was confused whether I should put it up or not, but then I prioritized. So theater related work, then I put up my the articles that I had written and a few student projects that I had done in terms of film, broadcast journalism. So present it in a way and keep it in mind that the person who is going to read your application should be able to understand it. So it should be organized in that manner as well. And for the interview, I would suggest the same. Where if you are preparing for the interview, please go through the organization. You need to have some information like about the panel members. What is the organization, where they are coming from? What is their goal and purpose? Go through your applications before preparing for the interview because they will talk about the work that you have done. Be clear, have clarity, on your answers in terms of what your goals are. What are you looking forward to learn from this course, and how will it help you achieve your goals that you have in mind? And don't stress about having concrete answers. I would say, even if you don't know, what are you going to do after the course? Be honest. Say that you're looking forward to learn, exploring, whatever it is. Just, I would say, be genuine and honest and practice before the interview, like you have that sort of clarity in your answers. You don't seem like all over the place and confused. Is something that I could suggest from my experience. Yeah.
Thank you, Parul. There is this question. If Rishika is asking if they can do theater or some research-based project while doing the course, but it has already been addressed by Ira that it is.
Rishika, you should ask Parul and Arjun about this. With the dramaturgy lectures, with your context for theater work, your aesthetics work, your writing work, there is abundant research you're going to be doing for the assignments that you're working on for those subjects. So you won't really have the space or time or energy to do anything else. And I would suggest, in fact, that if you do have extra energy, put it into the course, focus on it, give it more time, concentrate on it, and like do one thing well at one time. Don't get scattered and distracted with multiple things simultaneously. So my suggestion would be, just focus on the course. If you're doing the course, you won't need to do anything else. It will take care of all of this for you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ira. I hope that.
Prabhuti, sorry, Prabhuti, can I just interrupt
Yes.
you? I just want to say thank you to all of you for coming today. It was wonderful talking to you. I have to take my leave because I have to go and get a booster shot for my vaccine. But hopefully I will see you all very soon, online or in person.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you so
Amba.
much for
Thank
joining.
you.
Thank you.
Guys, if you have any questions, you can ask. Or Arjun, would you like to share your experience about getting the scholarship? You got need-based scholarship, so
Yeah,
can you tell the process and how? Yeah.
yeah. So it was like there are certain documents that I needed to submit: the bank statements, the income, salary, and everything that I have, and also the SOP. Why I need the need-based scholarship or why merit-based anything. So I just followed the documents that are required to do, and just like Parul said, don't try to impress them. Just be honest, and if you want the scholarship, just be honest. If you think you can apply for the need-based scholarship, just provide with them with the documents. They will go through the application, and after you get selected, they will call you for an interview. And in the interview round, you just have to be honest. You have to tell why you want this scholarship, how can this scholarship help you, and also after DSM, what are your plans, and why do you think that you should get this scholarship. All these basic kind of questions. And for me, it's like just follow the instructions given by the faculties and everyone, and upload the documents, and in the end of the day, just be honest and nothing else. It's very helpful. Shruti and Cherry and Gina are like all the time, they are helpful. You can call them, you can ask them, should I upload this, should I send this, should I mention this. They will help you out, so there's nothing to worry about. Just you have to be precise with the documents and all. You don't have to worry. Yeah.
Thank you, Arjun. There is one more question.
Yeah,
What's
Mayank has asked a
um,
question. Is there really any difference between theater and camera acting? Will you guide us in that perspective as well in the course? Um, so there are different opinions on this. There are many actors who believe that there isn't much of a difference. It's just the matter of calibrating your acting towards camera or theater. There are others who'll be like, it's starkly different. It's a theater training course. Essentially, it doesn't really train you for the camera in terms of how do you place yourself while performing for cinema, but at the same time it gives you enough tools and enough skills to be able to adapt to whatever medium you may be performing for. Okay, so officially, no, the course is not going to say here is where your module for acting begins. But at the same time, I know Parul and Arjun have only been through half the course. They just finished their lab, in fact, last week. But at the same time, by the time, I know for a fact, like by the time they finish their residency, they will have enough tools in their toolkit or in their repertoire, to be able to calibrate the performance to whichever medium or platform that they may be performing for. So I believe that you will get trained enough to be able to adapt. So don't worry about that.
Okay, thank you, Ira. Um, I would like to ask the participants if they have more questions, then they can ask, unmute and ask, and otherwise we can wrap up the session. I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
So just before
Yeah.
you go, I just wanted to say something. It's a, I know you come in as individuals, right? At this point, you're thinking for yourself, which is, of course, fair enough. That's how it is. It always is. But trust me when I say this, the world that opens up for you as you do the course is something you will not be able to imagine without actually doing it. And I think Parul and Arjun are in the process of discovering that. Prabhuti has been through the entire process. But whether it's in terms of resources, whether it's in terms of people, whether it's in terms of ideas and skills, whether it's in terms of what you can imagine as even work, we have certain ideas of what we mean by projects and work and plays, and the way the world will open up for you, and how you think about theater, how you think about work, what you think about in terms of the ideas that can be turned into work, it will just explode. And I believe that it's worth doing the course just for that. The entire world of art and artists will explode in front of you, so that the possibilities are endless, and you're able to see that even inside yourself. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ira. Okay, then. Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Ira, for joining and sharing your insights. And to all the participants, to get to know more about this course, you can connect with DSM course advisors and they will guide you through the process. Yeah.
Thank you for hosting, Prabhuti. Guys, Cherry and Jinal are available to answer any doubts that you may have. So please ask questions if you have any. And hopefully I'll see you during auditions. All the best. Bye.
Bye, Ira. Thank you. Thank you.